That seems fine. I can see the corner of a giant spider. The dead walk, hide while you still can. Ooh, what the what even? Okay, so it's naked, it's a creature. A large hairy worm, what? It has 2 long, straight horns. Its charcoal hair is patchy. This night creature was first created accidentally by the dwarven necromancer Unib of steelsmiths after horrible experiments gone wrong on giant bush tits. No kidding. Let's zoom out a little bit. Close this real quick, just so that we can prep. Dwarves are gonna immediately start running back inside. Well, it's potentially pretty bad. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do, because we might just actually have to fight this, I am sending the military upstairs. So these necromancers, for reference, they're actually not a married couple, but this necromancer's husband has been here before. This necromancer's master, this necromancer's apprentice, I threw into the lava in the basement. And so Unib here is the master of Iral. So it's a necromancer and their apprentice basically here. Both of these necromancers were previously members of our faction before they were exiled. In fact, this one was the count of Craftclawed, which is one of the fortresses in our faction. They don't have any relatives in my fort, but they do have relatives in the area. These necromancers are very heavily connected to us. I will pull the lever a second time. This also gives our dwarves a chance to get inside. Something a little bit scary is there is actually some bodies in the lake here that could just come crawling out. It seems like Bolsky is taking a nap. Okay. Dwarf pulled the lever. Door's open. Critters are coming, seems like. Let's see who comes in first. Got scared of some bodies in the river. No. They're probably getting attacked by giant birds. This is an untamed wilds biome. Oh, it's giant thrips and a giant Kia are on the map right now. So they're probably getting dive bombed by giant birds. If they're getting attacked by anything, it's probably the thrips or the Kia. So if they're running in fear from something, it's probably the thrips. So the first dwarf corpse comes into the fortress. The benefit of these guys actually is they do have pretty decent gear, and because our materials are very limited, anything helps. The very brave Potpourri of all dwarves charges in first directly towards the zombie warrior and begins stabbing. He is horrified while in conflict, but gets a very expertly placed stab directly in the head with a steel spear, tearing the muscle and fracturing the skull. That might have killed him if it was alive. And then a tendon in the skull has been torn, the force twists the neck, and a tendon in the upper spine has been bruised, and the mace dwarf strikes, but the spear dwarf expertly blocks the shot, and the zombie is immediately executed by the new soldier Potpourri. Vengeful, joining an existing conflict. Very, very impressive. Charges forward directly towards the rest of the dwarves. Some of the dwarves are waiting behind going, I think because we've got dwarves charging, might as well move the rest of the squads up. Potpourri charges directly towards the next zombie, bouncing off in a quick parry with the 2 monstrous mistakes behind him. He is now in a martial trance, stabbing at the mace dwarf corpse in the head repeatedly, fracturing the skull. What a good hit. Jesus, this dwarf needs a raise. It's a shame we don't get paid. Strikes it a second time, and I think that's his second kill. Yes, he's now killed 2 zombies in Applebottom right at the very beginning. And then the spear dwarf stabs the mace dwarf corpse in the head and literally beheads it, which is what downs. I think destroying a spine is actually a way to kill a zombie. And then we have these 2 towering beasts, and now we find out how strong Fath and Athil are. The dwarves move up to the creatures, and immediately one of them falls. The militia strikes the Disaster of Night in the body, bruising the muscle with his shield. That definitely wasn't the killing blow. Underneath it is Tosid, right? You didn't get the kill either. Who did, though? Well, looks like it was Potpourri, actually striking the Disaster of the Night in the head with an iron shield, bruising the muscle and bruising the brain. Literally smacked it in the head. Okay, it can't be that big. They move up to the second one. Icor is spraying everywhere. The baby who is along for the ride alongside of Stingray is going, didn't feel anything after seeing the Disaster of the Night die. Seems like a good soldier in training. Anyway, next creature is enraged at all enemies and bleeding and being stabbed by the militia captain. The militia captain stabs the Disaster of the Night in the lower body with a steel spear, tearing the muscle and tearing the guts. The Disaster looks sick. The Disaster of the Night strikes at the militia captain, but the shot is blocked with the steel shield. The dwarves move forward. We still have Potpourri in a martial trance, bits and pieces flying everywhere, and that's the second one to fall. Of course, they could stand back up. Have the necromancers left the map? That is the next thing we need to check. It looks like they have. Okay, so now all we have left are the invaders. Do not mind the ratmen. So we just have all of these creatures mostly. Yeah, so we're through the zombies. The necromancers have left. The biggest threat is gone. And it's now all these guys up here. I'm going to tell my squads to actually back up into here. If they decide to. If they don't, that's okay too. I can move them forward again. Blood just fell off. Okay, it's Wolverine Man blood. That's fine. Never mind. It's just a big old stack of dwarves and then creatures coming around the corner. Move back up, dwarves. The next round of dwarves move forward. Lockjaw, the militia captain, who is wielding a god metal flail, is up front. Actually bites the beast of the knight's third left foot, bruising the muscle. The captain latches on firmly. The militia captain strikes at the beast in the thorax with her iron shield, bruising the muscle. Very efficient. I'm very impressed. Where the fuck did that bolt come from? They have weapons? Oh, I see. Was it you? Ah, that makes sense. So there are still some corpses on the map. I was like, these don't have weapons. Where did that bolt come from? I was very concerned for a moment there. The dwarves are charging forward, and bits and pieces are starting to go everywhere. We have blood coming out, which is the white stuff because they are creatures. They're night creatures. The militia captain is punching it. Dude, you literally you have a flail. Use your flail, mate. Use the flail, dwarf. The militia captain bashes the knight's beast in the head with her. Oh, there we go. Bruising the muscle. Sweet. So you are actually using it now. Awesome. So for those of you who missed the description of these creatures, these are large feathered hexapods. It has large mandibles and charcoal feathers, which are long and narrow. This night creature was first created by the dwarven necromancer Unib of steelsmiths after horrible experiments on horses. The dwarves are now fighting with the spider-like creatures. I'm looking at my dwarves. Tosid here is stunned. However, Tosid is one of my recruits, so very recent recruits to the military. Actually hacks the knight's beast in the right first leg with the steel battle axe, tearing apart the skin, and the recruit hacks the knight's beast right third leg with his steel battle axe, and the severed part sails off in an arc. Now, I'm going to pause for this fight for a second, which I do realize is very, very, very exciting, to note that I really need to upgrade my hospital, and I'm a little scared I'm going to need it in a moment. Even though this ain't done yet, I need the extra beds in the hospital. We've got several dwarves running up that appear to not have weapons. I'm just double checking they actually do. Yeah, they're all using bismuth bronze warhammers. This is Bolsky, who finally woke up from his nap. We got a lot of thirsty dwarves. We really need to give these dwarves new stuff. I'm really curious to see how this recruit does. I'm going to move a few turns forward as Tosid is dodging bolts and fighting with the creature. There's actually blood on the ground, which usually means it's dwarven blood. That's actually Baby Blueford's blood. Where is Baby Blueford? So Baby Blueford is actually bleeding heavily. Got bit by the knight's beast in the right ear, bruising the right island skin through the cave spider silk shirt. That's not good. We're also in an ad break, or going to be in an ad break in a minute, so I will pause the fighting when the ad break pops in case anybody gets hit with an ad. That's a little bit scary. However, the creature has lost a leg. That's not too bad. I mean, it's okay. Your hand is also torn open. Never mind. That might actually be a little bit worse. Her head is bruised. Her left upper arm is mangled. Good thing we're upgrading that hospital, everybody. You know what I'm saying? But fortunately, most of them are dead. It's literally just this one who's left, and then the one over here, from what I can tell. The siege hasn't broken yet. What kind of threats do they still have? Let's actually find out real quick. Okay, so there's still a good number of them. They're mostly up there. Oh, boy. Well, let's move a few forward. We can see blood on the ground still. How's Baby Blueford doing at the exact moment? In pain and bleeding. Baby Blueford may actually ditch backwards to go heal a little bit, possibly. But no, it's clearly not bad enough that they are... retreating. Yep, the bleeding has stopped. That's good. Has actually killed a zombie dwarf at this point. Darius is doing well. Bit in the eye. Imagine getting bit in the eye. Good lord. And the hammer dwarf bashes the knight's beast in the first leg with a bismuth bronze warhammer, bruising the skin. So seems like all of our dwarves here are doing well. UGDPY is a dwarf that joined the military because they were the most stressed dwarf in the fort, and two of the things they really wanted to do was fight and get martial training. So you're just kind of here now. I hope you enjoy it. It's a bit late. I didn't actually remember that I'd done that. Meanwhile, the corpulent statue sounds is terrified, but hopefully is at least one of these dwarves focused. A lot of these dwarves are actually not doing too bad. We got more creatures moving towards. The dwarves are all stacking on top. I'm a little bit worried about our recruits, and some of the dwarves are thirsty, but honestly, this could go a lot worse than it seems to have so far. I think my plan is, after the fight over, to just lock the door and give the dwarves a chance to recover. They charge towards the final zombie, which is just a crossbow zombie, which will probably die pretty quickly. All it was really doing was forcing us to stop dodging, and it dies very quickly, and then the dwarves run towards the actual looming threat coming down the side of the hill. The axe dwarf, who's up at the front, Imush, who is a member of the Bulbous Furnaces, has killed one zombie so far, actually hasn't managed to hit anything yet. Right next to Potpourri. How's Potpourri doing? Are you doing okay? Considering this is Potpourri's first fight, 3 zombies, 2 disasters of the night, which are the big guys. The fact that they're also coming down in a sort of single file is an advantage to us as well. 2 of them fall almost immediately with bits and viscera flying everywhere. Kavish here actually dodged directly underneath one of their abdomens, which flew up and over. It's a bad planet, a bug planet. The fact that a bug even thinks is offensive, clearly, and for democracy, I suppose. Throw all the references and buzzwords out so that all of the algorithms pick up the sound bites. Right here, we've got Potpourri on the front line, Imush on the front line, and Ubal. Imush has finally gotten their hits in, most recently punching the Knight's Beast in the right mandible. Not my mandible! Bruising the muscle, and the force pulls the head. The axe dwarf then hacks the Knight's Beast in the 3rd foot with her steel battle axe, and the severed part sails off in an arc. As you can tell with these dwarves' gear, I'm focusing more on high-quality weaponry and less so on armor, because I don't have a lot of armor. These dwarves are going to need new clothes, though. Their clothes have all taken a beating. This dwarf's pants are, like, almost ready to fall to pieces. The hammer dwarf kicks the Knight's Beast in the thorax with her right foot, bruising the muscle and bruising the heart. It'll never love again, truly. The dwarves continue to move through the absolute wall of enemies, and I have a feeling that, well, Zon, this creature of the night, doesn't feel anything. I was gonna say I have a feeling they're terrified, but I guess they just don't feel anything. How about you? Grouchy, exasperated. They don't really care. They're pretty emotionless, I would say. More bits and pieces fly out, and UGDPY hasn't killed anything, but did get to hack the Knight's Beast in the 1st foot with her steel battle axe, bruising the fat. The battle rages, I must press on, they say. I think UGDPY has had a good time as a tourist here in the military. Her leg is bruised. She literally just has an axe and a shield. I think I'm gonna boot them out. Like, just get out of the military. Drop your axe and run, dwarf. Just drop your axe and run. You are literally a recruit. You're the only dwarf that's tantrumed in the fort. I put you in the military to fill a need. I think you need to go back down to the tavern and keep singing. We move up through these guys. These worms appear to have been quite weak, at least in the initial beginning of the fighting. Yep, they're dropping pretty quickly. We've got 2 down already. Shield Standards has actually killed one almost immediately. Got it by striking it in the lower body with a steel shield, bruising the guts. It seems has Imush killed one. Imush has done some damage. Strikes at the Disaster of Night in the head with the pommel of a steel battle axe, bruising the fat and tearing the neck, and then hacks it in the lower body with a steel battle axe, and the severed part sails off in an arc. We've got another one who is moving forward, who's mildly annoyed when caught in the rain, and doesn't feel anything while joining an existing conflict. The combat starts with the creature. It actually misses my axe dwarf, and then moves forward, gets hacked by an axe dwarf in the lower body with a steel battle axe, which tears the skin. The Disaster of Night then misses once again, and has been knocked unconscious because the mace dwarf scratches the Disaster of the Night in the head, tearing the skin, bruising the muscle, and bruising the brain, which is enough to knock it unconscious. The force bends the neck, the Disaster falls over, axe dwarf hacks the Disaster of Night in the head, and the severed part sails off in an arc. Very quick, well done fight. Obviously, because Imush here, who did the deed, was in a martial trance, which negates any exhaustion in the fight. The martial trance then moves forward. I see the dwarves having no problem with the remainder of this fight. They are fighting up the side of the hill. More Disasters of the Night are coming down the hill. This dwarf is irritated, dwelling upon wearing old clothing. Well, we need to get that shit sorted. That's my next job, I think, is to get the old clothing sorted. They move up. It appears that Moma's here just got one. Yeah, looks like it. Hacks the Disaster of the Night in the upper body with a steel battle axe, and the injured part is cloven asunder. Stukos here also slapped it with the flat of their battle axe. It appears that there's one of the creatures left, at least in this rush. There's one down in combat who just fell. Second spider-like creature just fell. This one's immediately bleeding very heavily, and the axe dwarf actually bit it in the mouth, as you do, latched on firmly, and then bites it again in the lower body, tearing the muscle, and then scratches it in the head. You know you have weapons, right? And then Disaster misses it again, or tried, but it was actually parried or blocked by the shield. The Hammer Dwarf then bashes the Disaster of the Night with her Bismuth Bronze Warhammer, bruising the muscle and bruising the guts, hacks the Disaster of Night with her Steel Battle Axe, and the severed part sails off in an arc. How many left? Let's see. There's got to be at least one. Okay, so there is one left. It's not too far away. It is the final of the creatures we must kill. Tell the remainder of the dwarves to go get it. And it moves up. The dwarves run at it very quickly, and the creature falls almost immediately. And it appears that Stingray dropped her baby, but has come back to get it. We do have some injured dwarves. Bolsky is injured. Let's just set you there so we can go get you. The dwarf is doing the very logical military thing, which is trying to fight with the giant Kia, and then walked a few steps and died. He was trying to fight with the giant Kia. Bolsky. Bloody shame that you had to go that way. What was the last thing Bolsky said or did? The Hammer Dwarf misses the Disaster of Night after getting gored. Okay, so in the last few fights, in the last few moments of the fighting, the Hammer Dwarf attacked the Disaster of Night, but it jumped away. Did you already have injuries before that? Okay, so he was doing real well. He was striking, bashing with his hammer, doing very well. And then Bolsky dodged, attacked, and missed. And that miss probably made him stagger. And that was enough for the Disaster of Night to gore the Hammer Dwarf in the head, bruising the muscle and fracturing the skull through the wool hood. The force twists the neck, tearing apart the skull and tearing apart the upper spine's nervous tissue. An artery was opened by the attack, a tendon was torn. The dwarf lost hold of his spear, dropped it, lost hold of his warhammer, and then missed the Disaster of Night and said, "In our time in the realm of destiny is so brief. This does not scare me." Then as he was crawling, a few moments later, he said, "I've been injured badly. I can't keep it together." Rest in peace, Bolsky. You were a hero. That dwarf deserves a statue. A steel statue. What an absolute beast of a dwarf. So, what weapon were you using? I would like to see what weapon he was using. For the reason of, I would like to memorialize his weapon.